Hi internet, so I'm in a mood right now and I want to do the Twilight book tag. Ah, the Twilight stuff. Look at all the Twilight stuff. It's Twilight. Yeah, let's get into this. Disclaimer, I love this series when I read it. I have reread it multiple times, just like the movies, and kind of just love hating on it now. I also was in Twilight fanfiction for many years, but longer than it should have been.
Question numero 1. What movie and book are your favourites?
They're different. You might notice I don't have Breaking Dawn here, not my favourite. It's also destroyed and I need to get a new copy because it annoys me. But Movie Land, Breaking Dawn Part 2 or Eclipse are my favourites. Bookland, I think Eclipse, but I like Twilight. But Eclipse and Twilight were the ones I reread the most, and really, my Eclipse copy's pretty fucking beat up. And this is not my original Twilight cover, like copy, because I lost it after lending it to a friend, who lent it to a friend, who never gave it back to me.
Question numero 2.
What was your experience with Twilight like? Okay, so I found this series when I was like 14, 15, and I read Twilight. I discovered it through the Sims 2 exchange because I was like reading this chick story and she kept referring to things in New Moon or saying her obsession with New Moon. I was like, okay. So I picked up probably, I think it was like around the same month that Eclipse came out because they were everywhere. So I brought Twilight and I was like, Twilight. Then I brought New Moon and I was like, New Moon. And then I brought Eclipse and I was like, Eclipse. Or I might have brought them all at the same time. I was like, absorb them. And then I reread them so many times that I never need to reread the books again, and I know exactly what happens. I can probably quote it. I know everything. It's permanently in there. I do kind of want to reread it, but it feels like it's something I've read like 1,000 times. And then about the time the movies happened, like I was excited for the first movie, then the first movie came out. I think it was just before the first movie came out that I fell out of love with it. Reading taste changed. I read Fallen, hated it. That's my Twilight story. And then I went on Sims 2 Exchange 4 years after finishing it the first time. And fanfiction.net. Oh, I love that site so much. I wrote fanfiction, I read fanfiction. The fanfiction I wrote wasn't particularly good, and no, I'm not gonna link to it anywhere. It's not even under Ditzyandrabooks. Yeah, that's before Ditzyandrabooks was a thing. I know what it was under. Not gonna tell you. Nearly slipped, just saying.
Question numero 3. Your favourite characters?
My favourite characters would have to be Alice and Jasper. They are my favourite couple and my favourite characters, although I am like Carly, Solomon and Esme. Also kind of have a thing for Emmett and Rosalie. I didn't hate Rosalie as everyone did. I like really loved it, especially in Breaking Dawn. I was like, Rosalie, you're my favourite. But Jasper has always been my favourite. In the movies, him and Charlie are my favourite. Is that a question? Please don't tell me that's a question. Next question. But yeah, books, it was like Alice, Jasper. Movies, Charlie, Jasper.
I just love them so much.
And Emmett, not Bella. Or Mike. Fuck Mike. I don't know why I have such a hatred for Mike. Or Seth. I love Seth. He's just a cutie. And I love Leah too. I was never angry at Leah. She's like my favourite werewolf. And Seth's there. But Leah, I think I enjoy her more.
Question number 4. Team Edward or Team Jacob?
There was never a Team Jacob. There has always and will forever be Team Edward. Only Team Edward or Team Jasper. Like, still, Jasper's like the fave, Team Charlie. But out of Edward and Jacob wasn't a thing until the movies. Like, no one, when reading the books, was going, oh, I really hope she ends up with Jacob. Everyone was thinking, when's Edward coming back? And then Edward came back and we were like, yay! And then we all grew up. I mean, look at 50 Shades of Grey. Where's Jacob in that? Probably somewhere. Like, I haven't actually read the book. I'm just assuming. I read 50 Shades of Earl Grey, and Jin is a brony. And a wanker, quite frankly. I have nothing against bronies. Just another disclaimer. I think they're pretty cool and like what they stand for.
Question numero 5.
Your favourite Cullen? Apart from Edward. Really, Edward was never an option. Jasper. Alice. Rosalie. Emmett. Carly. Jasper's my favourite because he tried to kill Bella. I'm still on that train. Also, I just appreciate Jasper. Appreciate him. Then I like Alice, and I really love Emmett, and I love Rosalie too. And Carly's like awesome, and Esme I like love. but it's the same list. I'm just saying it over and over again to try and prove my point.
Question number 6.
Your favourite song on the soundtrack or favourite soundtrack? And I did like the soundtrack for Twilight. I haven't listened to just the soundtrack though, so whatever. My favourite song would be 1,000 Years by Christina Perri, just because I like Christina Perri. All the Linkin Park songs, and the I think there's Limp Bizkit in there too. I forget these things. And that was technically book, not movie. Was it in the movie? I can't remember. You know when I say I only watched the movies once, apart from hate watching them a couple of times? Yeah.
Number 7.
How often do you watch the Twilight movies? I think I've watched them all once, definitely. I think I've watched maybe New Moon again. I think I watched Twilight a couple of times just to get my hatred out. New Moon, with all of them. The only one I can't think of is second half of Breaking Dawn. With all of them, I sat there and hate watched them so bad. I just like paused and yelled at the TV for 10 minutes and then continued watching. After 5 minutes, I'd pause and yell at the TV for 10 minutes and walk around being just, I can't do this. This isn't, no, this is different. I don't like different. Do you like different? Because I don't fucking like different. That was before I learned to separate books and movies. Then the Mortal Instruments happened. Then I started reading Vampire Academy, or watching Vampire Academy. Like I watched some, and then read some, and then watched some, and then I hated it. The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, I think, are the only adaptations from book to movie that I've read that I enjoy. And that's because they're separate in my mind. I discovered Lord of the Rings before I discovered Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit before I watched The Hobbit. I just love the movie process and the books.
Question number 8.
Would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf? Vampire. The only downside to being a vampire, oh, I have to drink blood and sparkle in the sun. Sorry, that's not a downside. Oh, we can't have children. I can have like multiple dogs and cats. I don't know how that would go with being a vampire, but I can still do it. I don't need my animals to like me. I need to like them. I don't even need to like them actually. Plus, get thirsty, one pisses me off, suck it dry. That's mean. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Question number 9.
What vampire power would you have if you could have any? I don't know. I kind of like the emotional control of Jasper. I also love Jane and Alex's powers. I like the idea of Bella's, but I don't like it because it annoys me. I'd love to read minds if I could turn off and on. Like Arrow's power to read minds. That would be fucking top shit. But you know, definitely not just like a tolerance to blood because what the fuck, Carlisle? It's not a power. Either it's Esme's or Rosalie's just being completely vain and super beautiful, or Emmett and super drunk. I'm sorry, I am picking on them again. Although Alice would be cool as well, like I just want to be in a friend group of Alice, Jasper, Edward, and Jane and Alec, people with their powers, and be like the center of that group, and use them all as I wish. I like to have all their powers. And Bella's, because then, you know, I can block my own mind in. I just want to be, what's her fucking name, Renesmee? Nessie, got her name.
Number 10.
The most embarrassing thing you did because of Twilight. The most embarrassing thing I did because of Twilight fanfiction. But other than that, nothing. I loved it. I read it constantly at school. That's embarrassing. Not really. Fanfiction. Reading some of my fanfiction.
Number 11.
Oh, that made you cry in the book and the movie. When it started and I saw how shit it was. I didn't cry actually, but books. Probably like, I don't think I cried. Maybe in New Moon. Maybe like when he's leaving her. Not the fucking days. That didn't make me cry. But like, he's what? How could you? Why? Seth's dad dying was like kind of sad. When Jacob kept being in the book was really sad. Victoria dying was sad. Because, you know, Bella didn't die.
Number 12.
I think I did 11 like that, but it's 12.
Rank the movies in order of your favorites.
And I'll do it with the books too, because it didn't say with books. But hey, I'm going favorite Breaking Dawn Part 2, Eclipse, New Moon, The End, Breaking Dawn, Twilight. Books? Oh, you want books? Okay. Eclipse, New Moon, Twilight, Breaking Dawn. Fuck that shit. It's glorified fanfiction that was printed and wasn't edited correctly. I'm sorry, that is my issue with Breaking Dawn. It wasn't edited correctly. It's glorified fanfiction. Trust me, I read lots of fanfiction in the lead up to Breaking Dawn. I could identify fanfiction when it was fucking printed. Again, I should get off this tirade. I have issues. Which reminds me, I should finish reading Fangirl, because like I only started and then didn't finish, and it seemed like I would connect with that book. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a lovely week. I will see you next time. Bye. Nyah! Hopefully I find this is funny when I edit it, otherwise I think I look like a dickhead. Like, you can tell it's my original because crack spines. Not crack spines. Crack spines. Ripping pages. Not crack spines.